Hello, everyone. I'm Christina. Welcome back for all my subscribers. And I want to thank everyone that is new to this channel. Welcome. All right. So, tonight is actually really special in the sense that we've been hearing from different scientists, different sources, certain things about the magnetic pole reversal. But in some areas, they've been vague. Well, I found this one individual, and it is, Earth Changes channel. I'm pretty sure that's what the name is. And there was one video. He apparently has sources. He's like one of the top 50 researchers in the world or in the US. I can't remember, but it wasn't just his credentials, because anybody can have those, but it was the things that he was saying that are tying into the things that we've already been looking at just over the last week or two here, just on my channel, right? And that's why I felt like it was important, okay, because it really tied into some of the things that Stephen Bendanoon had said, as well as Mike from around the world, okay. I did leave a link for these two videos that I'm going to cite. And again, I just kind of like pulled the meat out. But there's really a lot to look at, even though I've pulled out, certain things, okay, that we're going to talk about right now. Okay, I want to thank everyone that's already here and to ask you to hit like and to make a comment if you feel like it, okay? All right, we're going to get right into this. All right, the first video, Earth Changes channel, magnetic reversal at 36 degrees. He started talking about the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, parts of British Columbia, and Alaska. He started commenting that a large amount of nickel is being found, and nickel really comes from the core. So, as we've discussed in previous live streams and videos, there is pressure on the mantle coming from the core, and usually get nickel from there. Okay, he's saying within 2 to 6 months, everything is about to change, and what it all came down to was pre-crustal displacement. Things we've never seen before. And when it comes to pre-crustal displacement, I would look at it as an unbuttoning of a shirt, but you don't unbutton it one button at a time like we would say unbutton button number 1, and then button number 6, and then button number 10, and then number 4. It's odd, but there's an unzipping, unbuttoning, pre-crustal displacement. Okay, and what I'm hearing is that these earth rips are signs of that pre-crustal displacement, is what that is, okay? Lava is approaching the surface of the Northwest American coast. The crust is preparing for pre-crust displacement, pre-adjustment in the Northwest America and other parts of the world. High number of volcanoes going off in a 24-hour period that we've never recorded before just 2 months ago. There was concern about Hoover Dam could have cracks in it and could be destroyed by a large earthquake of 7.5 or 8. But he started to mention that military and FEMA exercises have been going on in the West Coast for 3 years now. Some of you on the West Coast might have noticed that already. But they will no longer have exercises by the end of October 2020 and will be on standby, which would tell any logical person that they know something's going on. But it was just Stephen Bendanoon a week ago was saying that the military would have 2 weeks notice before an event. We might, as a general population, general civilians would have maybe 24 hours notice, unless there was like some kind of leak, right? So right there's some kind of correlation, right? In the two things that, in a couple of reports from people that have sources. If you're here, please do say hi. I'm sorry it's so late, but we do have a lot to cover, and this wasn't something that I was able to just do very fast. Okay, we're gonna go on with it. Okay. Nibiru coming in at 36 degrees, question mark. I wasn't real clear on what he was trying to say there. But he said that the magnetic North Pole on our planet is moving by an extra 9 miles per year, which means that it's increasing. And with whatever binary system that we're attached to, as we go to approach each other, there would be a slingshot, meaning that as you come around, it's going to speed up. You know, we've seen that kind of with some perpetual motion devices. Some of you might have seen them, but when you approach that turn, it speeds up, right? So even Mike from around the world was talking about that as it approaches, it should speed up. And that really makes a lot of sense to me too. So what this guy is projecting at the latest is 2024 for a pole flip, for, crust roll on the mantle. Okay. And that what we're experiencing now, like I said, is the unzipping of that mantle from the crust. All right. So the fact that it's the magnetic North Pole is moving by the extra 9 miles a year means that, yeah, things are speeding up. Okay. Then he made a comment about September 23rd, 2017, which was when we saw the Revelation 12 sign. He made some odd comment that I still don't fully understand about it beginning really November of 2016. But he did mention the Great American Eclipse that happened just a month before in 2017, and was mentioning the cross section that comes in 2024, which to him lined up with, his projections of 2024 magnetic pole reversal. But Stephen Bendanoon had actually said we just have a little over 2 years, not 4, before that pole shift. Okay. That's what these scientists are saying. Okay. And that the X had gone congruent with the fault line that the United States has. X marks the spot kind of thing from Nova Scotia on down to, and he pointed through Louisiana into the Gulf of Mexico. Indications are happening in the northern Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee area, earthquake-wise, shows large crack in the same area. So what he's really saying is from like the New York area down through Tennessee at 40 minutes and 27 seconds in his video, and it actually includes Texas. Texas and the Gulf of Mexico disaster was one of those things that I foresaw. And, if there's that big crack going through that area, I could see that. But he says that it's very, very serious. But in another video that I'd done, I mentioned this before, Mount St. Helens. And in my vision, I was at the top of Mount St. Helens overlooking a valley of other mountains. And because I'm afraid of heights, I couldn't stand to see the rest of it. But I knew that I'd seen a valley of mountains coming from, Mount St. Helens. So I knew, because I don't get visions of good stuff happening usually, I knew something had to be wrong. And here he goes. Mount St. Helens is pushing magma to the top of the surface right now. The earth is expanding. And it used to be, I think it's scrubbed now, the Great Earth Expansion Theory. It was a YouTube video, scientist lady speaking of it. But he's saying, yeah, the earth is expanding. I mean, when you have earth rips, that's what's going on. It's okay. But he's saying that Mount St. Helens will produce a small earthquake, 2.5 or 3.5, and an opening will happen just like last time. Vents are about to open. Then explosion, eruption will take place. The whole region, not just Mount St. Helens, he's saying the whole region will go up. Surrounding volcanoes are building pressure. Fires are happening because of rising magma on the West Coast. Areas of concern on the West Coast, large crack. There's another crack going from Utah around Arizona into New Mexico and continuing into Mexico. Crack could come back from Mexico through Arizona, coming back up. So there'd be like this area, right? Creating a region of instability through to San Francisco, California. Area could collapse. So not just the Mount St. Helens area, but an area between Arizona, Nevada, and San Francisco that could also collapse, and that there are a number of hidden cracks in that area. Recently, 12 FEMA trucks were seen around that location off of Highway, I think he said 60 or 160. We're doing exercises with military guard for refugees coming from California for large earthquakes and tsunamis. And then the concern for British Columbia came up, which is also on the West Coast. He's predicting a huge tsunami from British Columbia to Los Angeles, 100 feet high. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the comments for just a second. We've got Jeff and Patty here. I'm really glad to see you guys. Hello, Jeff. Good evening, Patty. Patty, you heard Canada becomes warm, Russia becomes South Pole. It could happen. Texas could be the Arctic, But I do know that in the past, that Texas itself was under a lot of water. Things were very, very different, some years ago. Hello, Scream Engine. Glad to see you here also. And we got 1 like so far. Hey, we're doing good, right? All 4 of you that are here. Man, it doesn't matter how many. We're talking. Oops, gotta be clumsy and hit my computer, right? All right, so why don't we just go on and talk, because it goes beyond just the West Coast. That's really what he was talking about a lot, but there was just so much that correlated with the other reports we've been seeing, just, that I've been talking about in the last week or two, that, okay, Earth changes. All right. Okay, concern for British Columbia, predicting that huge tsunami from British Columbia to Los Angeles, 100 foot high, was told by sources that there will be a string of earthquakes from the southern region of Mexico's west coast to around the Los Angeles, California region. There will be an initial 2.5 or 3.5 magnitude earthquake, but it will last for an unusual and alarming 5 minutes. Within 48 hours, that area will open up and have a 9.5 magnitude earthquake or higher. Then his concern moves for Alaska. And the other scientists have been mentioning this too. They're saying they're having too many earthquakes. And then today, this afternoon, as I've been researching all this all day, Alaska just had a 7.5 magnitude earthquake just a few hours ago. And that was after I'd already written concern for Alaska. Okay, they're having too many earthquakes. Boom, a 7.5 magnitude. So that really even adds, evidence. And then he moves to Idaho. He said, keep your eye on Idaho. Too many earthquakes there too. And he starts talking about Yellowstone, which has always really been a topic, but hold on. But it just seems like things have been kind of stepping up lately with Yellowstone more and more. So they're not just concerned about Alaska and the West Coast, the Ring of Fire. They're talking about Idaho. Why? And this guy wanted to know, he said, why did they remove 1,000 earthquakes from Yellowstone? That they were deleted, like with Puerto Rico. So he's saying, and there are a lot of earthquakes in Puerto Rico. I'll admit that. But he's saying like they deleted some from there too. And then he said, expecting 14 to 16-inch rise in Yellowstone's landscape this year as opposed to the 2 inches from last year. He also says, keep your eye, not just on Idaho, but on Yellowstone, which, is in that area. When one vent opens up, he says, a few days later, another one will open. Then another. This is serious warning coming from him. When it does open up, it will affect the weather of the world. And I was saying that before. If Yellowstone erupts, the whole world will suffer for this. Indoor gardening will just have to be a thing. But he says if just 3 vents open up, you better be at your bug out location. Keep your eye out for that 3rd vent, because after the 4th or 5th vent, it will speed up and release, like Pompeii. But again, this is the same Mount St. Helens area that, again, it's, oh wait, yeah, we're not talking about Mesa. Okay, so when Yellowstone, my bad, goes, he says it will create an ice age. And when you breathe in the ash, it makes concrete in your lungs, and then you die. And the best I can think of, really, if you don't have any kind of mask, if you have to be out there, you can wear something over your face that's wet with water. That helps a lot. But I don't know how much. That's just pretty much all that I do know. But if we have Yellowstone and Mount St. Helens and an area in Southern California to Mexico that are all ready to cave in on that West Coast, that's pretty serious. All right, so we're going to go on. Okay. All right, now we already had an issue with Hawaii. We remember the magma that was coming out of the island before. I even did YouTube videos about it, just a few. But he's saying that there's going to happen again major volcanic activity on the Big Island. Then he moves to Japan, Philippines, Malaysia, and Indonesia. And just a few days ago, Stephen Bendanoon was talking about exactly that area. Now, he didn't mention Malaysia, but Malaysia is really close to Indonesia. He mentioned Japan, Philippines, and Indonesia, but he didn't say a whole lot about it. But this guy mentioned the high magnitude quakes, and he also mentioned a magma plume that is really huge underneath that same area. Okay. But then he moves to South America. He says, not just keeping your eye on Yellowstone and Idaho, he's in Alaska, but keep your eye on South America. Now, this is where Mike from Around the World had said a few weeks back that there was something about the South American West Coast that something with a volcano, that if that volcano went off and it was big enough and bad enough, that it would start kind of unzipping the whole West Coast along the Ring of Fire, right? And this guy is mentioning pretty much the same area, but he said, but see, the thing is, Mike, he had said there would be some kind of event. It was some kind of thing that would be like a domino effect. And this guy actually just names it. He says pre-crustal displacement, which what that really means is that before a pole crust, that there is crust displacement first in different areas, like I said, odd unbuttoning of a shirt. Okay. Then he moves to Africa. All right. So any of you living in Africa, you might already be aware of your own large cracks that have been forming in certain areas. And he's saying that it's a large magma plume in that area. It starts in the Malaysia, in Indonesia. It starts out in the Pacific waters, but you can still see portions of it in Africa. And that is causing large magma plumes in that area. People are not aware. Plume shown on creator's video. I wanted y'all to see that, to at least know that he can show you these areas. There's a lot on these videos that you might want to see. Like I said, the link is there. He said the Great Rift is about to take place concerning Africa. Africa will separate, not 70,000 years from now, but in the near future. And then he mentions that an ice age requires forest fire ash, volcano ash, and an impact. Makes a lot of sense. Either way, all three require some kind of dust and ash in the air. Ash. Yep. But it looks like since everything is orbital and cyclical, that since those things have obviously happened before, yeah, they can happen again. Then there was a second video, and it wasn't necessarily his video, even though it was on his channel. He was talking about another guy, and I'm not sure if this is exactly true, but some of the things that were said were alarming. And I'm going to make this quick. I didn't go through the whole video as far as pulling the meat out. I'm leaving that up to you to peruse at that if you want to hear more. Okay. But what this guy is saying is Canada going tyrannical, second total lockdown for refusers, and that this is some kind of document that has gone out for Canada, but it's not just for Canada. It's going to end up being implemented in the world, right? So it starts by saying that just like the concentration camps of Germany, they will use the same program by railroads and gas access. The undesirables will be like the Jews in World War II. They are not holding facilities, they are processing facilities to transform the unwanted people into fertilizer. They are gassed, bodies stacked into rail cars, ceiling opens up, light drops on them, and they are fertilizer before they reach their destination. Alarming, right? Grooves in the rail car floor catch metal and other things like jewelry. Daily cases of COVID will reach beyond testability in November. So there's another November reference. That's bothering me a lot. November keeps coming up. When we hit the third wave, it's a monster. And they're saying that we've already hit the first and second. So we're in for the third wave next this winter, right? Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, yeah. He says daily case. Okay, the COVID will reach beyond testability. Like it's gonna go crazy. Third wave, and what he's saying is crazy. He's basically saying is that the milder forms that most of us healthy people felt, like a sniffly nose or nothing at all, and then like the vaccine and the testing and some other things, it's like it was all part of a process to get us to where this mutagen is about to be released. And the mutagen is going to kick off something that is going to make us bleed from the eyes and die before we even get to the hospital. But let me get too far ahead. Says there's going to be complete and total lockdown. Projected COVID mutation will introduce mutagen during peak of third wave. Final part of the plan will be implemented on February 17th to the 20th. Whole world will change. Will be terrible by then, but will escalate third wave. That this will cause an overreaction of the immune system. Lungs will fill up with fluid on the way to the hospital. Co-infection with secondary virus, binary weapon, which is kind of appropriate since we're in a binary solar system. And which is causing issues with the magnetosphere. But this right here is looking like it was on purpose, and it might have been, but at the same time, a decent virus that's been here since the beginning of time that can live this long and be dormant and come back if it was on its own and mutate under magnetic issues could cause problems. But in a 3-part, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know how much truth is to this. This is something we're going to have to just kind of look for and see if it comes out. But it was just so interesting. It was one of those things that you just at least want to hear and put it in your pocket. This part, right? But he says it causes an overreaction to the immune systems, will exceed medical care facility capacity, hemorrhagic fever. No one will touch the bodies. They will have to be gathered by machinery and burned. Everybody will have the mild strain, but they want you to believe that, protest and spread it. Cases will skyrocket. New mutation will cause bleeding eyes and quick death. Stay out of big cities. And I had done a video before about a vision I'd had about the Russian invasion and nuking of the cities. And part of it was that the cities were fenced, like with prison barbed wire and fencing. Okay. And so it just makes me wonder, this is how that came about in the future. But he says they'll come house to house, take it or go to the camp, like I guess maybe a vaccine, transitioning into basic income program, which is totally bad. Lockdown will get out of control. Military contact tracing and new technologies will be implemented, all for Canada, but it will happen around the world. Debt relief will be offered by the government that created the problem, meaning you will forfeit all ownership of all properties forever. Now, I didn't finish writing everything to the video. I figure if you want to see it, you'll go check it out yourself. Again, the link is there. Vic Zart. I've been hearing the song Here Comes the Bride in my head a lot lately. Wow. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. I wanted to go next to the mass animal fish deaths after having heard the first video that I was pulling the meat out of, especially with the West Coast. Okay, then we would want to look at mass animal and fish deaths for that area, especially that area, and any other areas that we were looking at. Okay. We start off with the first. Now, I'm not going from like the most recent down. I'm going for the ones that are more, what's it called, relevant. And September 26, 2020, hundreds of dead fish found floating in lake. A mystery, actually written, a mystery in California, America. Okay. Go down just a little bit more. Millions of birds drop dead from the sky in southwestern America. And I'm pretty sure that was like the New Mexico area. And 351 dead turtles and 137 dead sea lions wash up on coast of Mexico on September 15th. Okay, hundreds of cattle dying from mosquito swarms in Louisiana. So, like, the Bible said, the way that we'd always been taught is that there'd be droughts in some places and floods in others, right? Really close to one another. And California's on fire. So is Oregon, Washington. But in Louisiana, there's, it takes a lot of water. I mean, it's not like they're not already underwater, but Louisiana just did get hit 3 times in a row with some hurricanes this year. So they would have more water just sitting around for mosquitoes to breed in. So I could see that. But it's killing their cattle. There's so many mosquitoes, it's killing their cattle. But on the East Coast, this is a strange one, September 11th, too, of this year, hundreds of dead fish wash up on the beach in South Carolina. All right, Canada, thousands of dead fish found in a river in Prince Edward Island. That was August 30th. So if you can think of other weather-related events that have been going on recently, then you would understand. Yes, we had, that was what was so interesting is I was actually doing this research for this live stream. And again, the guy's first video was talking about so many things, so many bullet points from Mike from Mineral World and Steve had been to noon. But it just kind of elaborated a little more about what they meant, that I just had to say, oh my goodness, this guy I think is the real deal. But Alaska, he had said, keep your eye on Alaska. There's too many earthquakes. And then boom, I'd already scheduled it, but yeah, before I could go live, Alaska had that 7.5. And that is one of the areas he was looking to keep an eye on, right? So we've got a lot of distractions going on because the elections are coming, but we've got a lot of concern about what's going on in the world, like to our earth and how that is affecting everything. And I'm really concerned. I mean, I know we're supposed to be having this pandemic and everything, but I still can't get over this uneasy feeling that the whole world seems to be playing a part in shutting down the whole world. And we've got these asteroids that are supposed to be coming in and other issues. It's like they do know that something is coming. And I mean, I've been talking about this for a while. I really have. But it just seems like more and more and more scientists are starting to say November. And then they say other timelines beyond that. But it's like a continuation of how horrible things are going to keep getting beyond that point. And then as like a side moment, it's like, oh yeah, we've got an election going on. I think everybody knows about Dutch Sense. He's really accurate. He's got a lot of respect. He really does. And he is good. Absolutely. I'm really glad for everybody that has come by. I just want to check and make sure. Right, Jeff? I think a lot of people are feeling that sense of impending doom. And so it's really at this point that these pieces are starting to be put together, because I know we're in a magnetic pole reversal, and I know what those effects are, and trying to find that. But these scientists, they have kind of a one up on me with their computers and their technology. They can foresee better than I can what's coming next. And if their military forces are in certain areas, and they've been holding drills for so many years, and they're about to move out of that area, then I think that should say a lot. It should, okay? And if it wasn't about a lot of things that I've seen or heard God tell me about in the last 5 years, it's just really raising a lot. And it's right, Vic, you're right. Everyone is scared. It's not just those of us who feel something in our spirits. It's all this news that's going on about the economic collapse that's coming, the bank runs that are coming, the chain shortages, the crop losses, and the businesses dying. I mean, it's everything, right? It's what everybody meant. And you remember the preceding years when they were like, there's a storm coming, and it would be like a prophetic word. This is what they were talking about. It's not just one thing. It's a perfect storm of everything that can go wrong. It will, which is where the Bible goes back to, and it says everything that can be shaken will be. And that is exactly what's going on. And a lot of it pertains to anything that you loved more than God. And when it comes to America, a lot of us have that Titanic mentality, too big to fail, that American pride. But pride goes before the fall, right? And coincidentally, the way that our country is rising up on the west side, kind of sinking in the middle, it's like the Titanic, it broke in the middle. All right. And it just kind of also makes me think one last thing before we go. Just a thought, okay? Because from what I understood from God, it was because of us trying to divide Israel that we were having these problems, okay? And they talk about the West Bank and East Jerusalem. So we got the New Madrid and the West Coast. And on the West Coast, it could go a certain way, but they're not sure. So I know that they're going to try to divide East Jerusalem. They're going to try to divide Jerusalem, right? I know they're going to try to divide Israel, maybe even break, but the way it would reflect on the United States as a mirror, we're seeing the West Coast being a big problem and the New Madrid, right? But again, I recommend you like looking at that guy's, at least his first video. If you've got the stomach, the second one, because it's kind of one of those Anne Frank hard to stomach things, only for, the tough. Okay. But yeah, man's heart will fail him for fear. You're right about that. And it breaks my heart, because I'm from an Army family, and we'll die for what we believe in. We're not, look, I can't really explain it in words what it's like to grow up in an Army family. You just do. You don't think about it. You don't, but a lot of people are soft hearted, and they've never really been in conflict before. So the thoughts of having to be tough like a soldier, it's like a foreign idea. It's something that's going to take time to soak in. But, we could be raptured anytime. But until we are, we have to maintain our posts. We have to continue working our jobs. All right. Vic, it's in the description box. It's in the description box. Both links to both videos. All right. Top down. Yeah, I agree with you, Scream Engine. All gears in the world clock are near top dead center, so to speak, which is kind of interesting because, Revelation 12, we have that sign. It's like so ominous to the midnight hour, like Revelation 12, Yeah. Yeah, we're close. And they did call this last days, right? Last days. Not last years. Last days. Okay, so if Stephen Bendanoon is right, I mean, not just him, then looks like we do have just a little over 2.5 years before our pole flip. And then everything's going to get crazy. You think the election's wild? Do you think that's trending news? in the long run, what we talked about tonight, that's what history is going to really look back on. They'll be like, while everybody was looking at the election, this is what was underneath the surface. Like in the days of Noah, right? All right, everyone, I'm really thankful you were here. Please share this video with anyone that you think might want to see it. And plus, Mike from Around the World is supposed to be on Paul Beckley's channel on Thursday night of this week. So in case you miss it, I'm going to go ahead and take Cliff Notes again. And we'll see if any more of what Mike has to say correlates or updates or gives us a clearer vision of what's going on. Again, these are government scientists, Christians, people that have sources and know what's going on. But we'll catch up soon, right? All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great night.